Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. Welcome to Smack's Camellya guide, which always is a bit more unconventional than the typical guide makers you watch. I don't like going over every single detail. I only want to go over the things that I deem very important or significant to the functionality of the character's kit. We're going to explain all that stuff, but we also learned some new information yesterday in my stream. We got one guide by somebody named Large Banana, and everyone in stream thought bro was waffling, but then I gave him the light of day because sometimes one guys are actually cooking. They are actually doing their due diligence and they just need to be heard out. So we heard him out. We fact checked it and he was right. And what he was right about was basic attacks in her white hair form, her basic attack sequence is more powerful than the basic attack sequence in her blossom form. And we're gonna go over that, show that off, and then we'll get into the guide, okay? So let's get into it. And again, big shout out to Large Banana. Good job cooking, brother. Don't worry, I'm a creditor. I always give credit where credit is due. Okay, so one of the first things that's important is when she's in her white hair state, it's the easiest way to know you're out of the blossom state, right? This here is the blossom state, and you see the hair turned red. Now, before we go any further, boy, God. All right, let me go ahead and get up out of there. Okay, so the white haired state, this is the basic attack sequence right here that's going to be the most effective, right? You go into your B-blade mode from the heavy attack, and then she does that. You get a nice little view there at the end. Good eye candy. One more time. Heavy attack, boom, into the B-blade mode. Spin, 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 and then you do the finisher. Bow. That's the basic attack sequence that is more powerful than the blossom mode. Now let's fact check this real quick because I don't want you guys taking my word here. Yes, streamers, I mean my chat, I went off stream and I tinned this bad boy just so y'all could see it in 4K. So when you have them both equally invested in, you'll come to find out. Let's take a look at the resonance. This is the blossom mode when she goes into her red hair state form. You'll come to find out there's an array of moves and multipliers here. Vining Waltz 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we have Blazing Waltz, which is when she spins with all that AoE radius, and then we have Floral Ravage, which is casting her skill while you're in her red hair state. Actually, this is what's going to make you leave it, the red haired state. But Floral Ravage is popping the skill while you're in red hair form, okay? Finally, Vining Ronde damage is going to be when you click the spacebar, when you jump in the midst of her blossom state, her red hair state. That's going to be a move, which is actually very effective when you don't want to scuff your ephemeral casting. We'll get into that in a bit. Finally, we have Atonement, which is literally your dash attack. When you perfect dodge and then follow up with attack, that's Atonement. Now that we understand all of this, let's take a look at some of these multipliers. First of all, Blazing Waltz is the spinning attack. That's the B-blade of the blossom state. If we come over here to normal attack 4 or basic attack 4, it's 20 instead of 19. So that's already a 1-up. But then you look at the multiplier, 22% on Blazing Waltz versus 20, pretty much 5 if we round up, on the basic attack 4, the B-blade in the normal attack form. So we already know off rip it's a higher multiplier. The only two remaining variables are what gives this an increase in damage and how fast can it get it done. We'll get both of those in a bit here. We come over here to Forte Circuit. We discovered this in stream as well because Large Banana told us, and then I fact checked them. Everything that is given to the blossom state is also given to the normal attack state, and it says it in 4K. If we come over here and look at the multiplier, here we go. Sweet Dream budding mode, increase the damage multiplier of normal attack. Right there, there it is, boom. You don't even have to read any further. Increase the damage multiplier of normal attack. But I checked it because I wanted to make sure it actually applied it. You know, sometimes these descriptions in the localization can mean one thing while saying another. So you get 50% and you get the additional 50% when you fill up her 10 stacks from Forte Circuit. So there's a 1-to-1 of buffing to both her white hair state and her red hair state. Okay, sorry guys, I gotta make sure my fat head isn't in the way. Sometimes I have a way of getting in the way, even though I don't mean to. We get in the way sometimes. Anyways, I don't think I covered up anything, but basically it's a 1-to-1 at this point. So the next thing to discover is how fast can you get these moves done? Well, just from shooting from the hip. I'm not gonna do the try hard stuff, but just from shooting from the hip. If we look at this and just pay a quick attention to it, I feel like she's spinning much faster in the regular state, right? She's spinning much faster. It doesn't take too long to get done. And then we go into the blossom state here and we do the same exact move sequence. I'll be honest, it looks like it's moving a little bit slower. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say that they're doing the exact same speed. Obviously, that's still going to cater to this because it has the higher multipliers and it's getting the same buffs. So what I'm coming to discover here is that her basic attack normal sequence state might be the go-to route for single target options, which was what Large Banana was. I know it's funny saying Large Banana, but that's his name, was telling me about. And I, based off of my own experience, agree with this notion. If you do this state against bosses, it's just 1v1, I think this is going to be the best method of DPS increase. But if you're going up against situations where there's multiple people, you look at this goddamn hitbox here. I mean, it is one hell of a hitbox. So in AoE situations, or maybe even if you're going up against Tempest Mephis and him and his shadow clone are in the same vicinity, you might want to use the Blossom State because it'll tick on both of them, unless you somehow can get both of the hits on the normal attack state. But one of the most important things that we discovered here is that the normal attacks do in fact have value. They aren't useless the way I thought that they were, the way other guide makers thought that they were. They do have a value, and I think it's pretty cool because it adds more intricate depth to Camellya. She's much more extensive with her kit variety and tool arsenals than we thought possible here. If you press space attack, by the way, right now we're in Blossom mode. If you press space attack, you can save yourself a skill casting to exit the Blossom mode for whatever reason you may need to exit it, right? So we'll press space attack, boom. That's what she does instead. Now, what I also learned about pressing space attack while in Blossom mode is the biggest weakness of Blossom mode is that despite it being the best way to brain dead parry, right? You see a parry coming in, this shit is gonna land the parry because it's ticking so fast. The biggest weakness of the mode is when you wound it up and they try to hit you with a parry attack, you're gonna get popped because this wind up right here, that sometimes the boss is hitting you and you can parry them, but that wind up, you just get popped. What I learned is if you do this, right, wind up and you space instead, it's a swift pop and it can parry too. So I think that space attack is good for when you're in a time crunch and the boss just ends up trying to hit you with a parry attack. You can just space and parry them instead of relying on this freaking wind up, man. So that was one thing. The other thing is sometimes you don't look, here we go, perfect example. Sometimes you don't want to butcher your ephemeral, this is the strongest nuke bomb in her arsenal. Sometimes you don't want to butcher that, and so you press the space bar to get out and try to look for a more meaningful timing of casting it, because you can get interrupted with that if you don't have her sequence 1. You will get interrupted. So this is very important because this is the strongest move. You can nuke people for 250,000 damage with this bad boy down here. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is how do we get this up? You've probably already seen a guide on it, but I want to go over it just in case anybody else is still confused. This is your Concerto meter over here, and when it's completely filled to the brim, this becomes accessible. Now, casting this is very important because once you cast it, this is where you're going to gain access to this 50% multiplier increase right here, right? 50% multiplier is not additive damage bonus, okay? This is not increasing your damage bonus. It's not shredding defense or anything like that. It is literally taking these multipliers right here and it's putting 50 on top of them, right? So this one that says 45.63, it's putting a 50 on top of that. That's a multiplier, not a damage bonus. It's important to know the difference because it's it's significant on the formula here, guys. Now there's one more thing that it does when you enter the budding mode. You get another up to 50% multiplier on top of the one it already gave you when you consume 10 stacks. What are these 10 stacks and how do we get them? That's when you come down here. When you cast this ephemeral state, you're gonna recover 100 crimson pistols, right? But before you even cast the ephemeral state, you already have 100 crimson pistols thanks to casting the intro skill. So these pistols, every 10 attacks you do is gonna grant you a pistol, and you can basically get 10 stacks from doing this. So you want to make sure you get these 10 stacks before you pop the bust. That's what I call the ephemeral state. You want to make sure you get these 10 stacks before you pop that state. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on a whopping 50% multiplier. So this comes back into a Camellya rotation. It's very important to get 10 stacks up before you pop this move right here. Otherwise, you're throwing away a 50% multiplier to both her blossom state and her normal attack state. How do we do this? You just attack after casting the intro skill. All right, we're gonna fill it up. Okay, so look, right here, this is the first way to do it. Just intro in with her from Sanwa, right? Boom, and just attack. Once you start attacking, you'll notice there at the bottom by the Forte circuit, look at those stacks filling up. Those stacks are the 10 stacks. See, now that we have 10 stacks, we only have one objective remaining here, and that is to cast our ephemeral state. It will then consume, I'm about to cast it right now. It will then consume these 10 stacks down here, which we're about to do right now. It consumes them, and now we have the full multiplier here, which is enabling us to do way more damage with our B-Blade and our normal attacks. Now, here's the bad news though. You do run out of those that enhanced multiplier very, very quickly because you consume the hell out of those crimson pistols inside of this state. So you don't want to continue being in this state very long. After you pop the ephemeral bust and then you do your rotation, get her off the field because she's already lost the entirety of the freaking multiplier that was gifted to her by the ephemeral state. So make sure you want to get that damage out the way and then immediately go over to your Shorekeeper or your Verena, whichever the one you have, and reset and repeat the entirety of the rotation, which we're going to go over that next. So a full rotation is going to look like this. I have S1 Shorekeeper, so I tend to I'm spoiled, guys. I tend to pop her ult at the beginning, even though most people probably like to wait. We're going to time this parry right here because this guy's going to jump back. And then we're gonna, boom. Oh wait, did we do? Okay, we got it. And then we're gonna go ahead and do this. All right, let's go ahead and get this up. All right, so full rotation here. I like to frame one ult into my Dreamless. Boom, and then we're gonna frame one Dreamless as well. Get some damage off there. And then we're gonna start filling up our stacks here, right? Boom, boom, 5, 6, 7, dodge. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. All right, cool. All right, we got our 10 stacks. We're gonna bust. All right, we're gonna stay in this state. And we're gonna spin on his brain. Now you'll notice the drop in damage right here, okay? Watch this. She's not gonna do 5,300. We ran out of our stacks. That's why it's important you swap over to Shorekeeper, because you do your full B-Blade once you enter the ephemeral state or enter it, and then you Shorekeeper ult before Shorekeeper ult runs out. If you do not do that, then you're just doing half the damage you would be doing if you had the buffs up. So you don't wanna like spend the entirety of your time spinning with Camellya. You do your, or Camellya, Cammy, fuck, I hate saying her name. You want to do that rotation and then get her off the field. Let's do this one more time. I think repetition is important to see so you guys know how things work. Pop ult, do not pop ult frame one if you don't have her S1. Yours will run out long before you get a chance to cast it. We're gonna dodge again, and then we're gonna pop this, boom, boom, boom. This is a tech with, you see how I broke all ice at once? That's a tech with Oh Girl. I can't multitask. All right, let's pop this frame one ult. I'll explain that in another video. Sanwa has a tech where you can like break all of the shit at once. Okay, let's do this. B-Blade. We're getting our stacks up. That was kind of a bad like casting, but that's okay. We'll work on that. Let's do this. Boom, we busted on them. We're gonna go ahead and spin up all of our crimson pistols. Okay, good. And then we're gonna do this, fill it up. Okay, and now look at that. See, that's the beauty of S1 because that was a shit rotation. But if you have S1 Shorekeeper, you don't have to worry about that. And I got S1 Shorekeeper. Okay, so and then we just do the whole rotation again, right? Boom, we're gonna go ahead and break all at once. There it is. Oh, I messed that up. Okay, that's fine. I messed that up, but you can break them all at once. You saw me do it earlier, actually. And then we do it again, right? Same thing. Pop this, hit the Dreamless, and then we come back up in there, bloop, bloop, and we're staying. Oh wait, we're in our blossom state, and then B-Blade, bloop, 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 bloop. All right, ephemeral state's up, bust. Oh my God, bro got clapped. I'm really doing this mid guide, guys. This is why I said my guides are unconventional. My guides are so unconventional, it's insane. Okay, there we go. So you'll notice I stayed in the air because I went into blossom mode right after the B-Blade normal mode, the white hair mode. That's actually a really good transition. That felt very smooth. And then we're gonna go ahead and finish this off. Okay. All right, we broke them all at once there. Very nice. Go ahead and get this up. And then that's GG's, boys. All right, the rest is history. Boom. Oh, that would have been, okay, we did finish. Good finisher. There you go. And just so you guys could see the performance, I intentionally did her white hair form during the bust stage, just so you can see how much damage the spinning attacks are. And if we go over to the blossom mode and do the same thing, you're gonna come to find out you're doing less damage. In our testing, we were doing 500 less damage per tick, which is substantial, because that's coming out to about 15,000 damage in discrepancy per rotation between doing white hair form B-Blade and red hair form B-Blade. So it's important to consider that if you're going up against a boss, do your testing, do your own due diligence, never take anybody's word for it. You'll come to find out you might want to go with white hair over red hair. And then in AoE situations, it's red hair. I'd like to reiterate that. One of the next things I want to show you about Camellya is the spacebar parry. When you're in her blossom state, again, I told you this before, one of her biggest weaknesses in the blossom state is the wind up while you're in a position to parry, and you end up getting punished because the wind up is just too slow. So this guy's gonna jump back, and then we're gonna do this, right? And then we wind up, oh, it's not fast enough. Guess what? That spacebar is fast enough. And then you can just cast skill again to go back into your red hair state. Remember, the beauty of the spacebar is that it saves you from casting skill. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is building your Camellya. I see a lot of meatheads out there that keep building Camellya with 60% crit rate and 230 crit damage. Guys, if you missed the bust, you just threw away like 140,000 damage. You need high crit rate. When will you meatheads learn that a higher crit rate is the key, bro? Okay. Do not let these people convince you that 65 crit chance is worth it. It's not. I assure you it's not. Even if you average out the crit value, it's going to be lower than something like this. Go for 80 or higher. And if you have Shorekeeper, that 81 is going to turn into 93, which you could still miss goddamn crits, even with a 93 crit chance. Trust me on that one. Go for 80 at the bare minimum. And if you're using a Farina instead of a Shorekeeper, you might even want to push for 90. That said, the stats you want to go for, I've told this to people millions and millions of times. Attack percent is more valuable in Wuthering Waves than it is in Hoyoverse Sphere. And that's because in Wuthering Waves, you're actually able to roll percent damage bonus as a substat, thus diminishing the value of damage bonus. What I'm saying is you're going to have so much damage bonus in a character's kit that getting more damage bonus is, or like, you know, prioritizing damage bonus doubly so is going to give you less value than going 1 havoc and 1 attack percent. Chances are going from 270% damage bonus to 300% damage bonus, not going to be much difference in performance. But going from 300 down to 270% damage bonus, but then upping your character's attack to 2556 from 2000, that's a big jump, right? Because that actually doesn't have the love of, I guess, nourishment that damage bonus has in this game. That said, it's always a case-by-case basis. Some characters' kits intrinsically starve for damage bonus where others don't. With Camellya, she's a unique case because her signature weapon alone gives you a whopping 70% damage bonus to her basic attack, which is the majority of all of her moves that she's doing. The ephemeral bust, the freaking B-Blade. The only thing that doesn't get this is her resonance liberation. But when you go and add up all of these damage bonus factors, the Havoc set giving you another 40% to your whole kit down here, the 130% main stat from this, and then you go and you look at each one of these pieces and you realize even they're giving resonance bonus, right? Basic attack bonus. When you add it all up, you come to realize my Camellya, I think in particular, she has like 250%, somewhere around there, upward. And then you come over here and look at this, 15% havoc damage bonus, 15% basic damage bonus. Long story of yapping about basic damage bonus. Put a fucking attack percent main stat right here. I've already tested it in game and I did more damage with the attack percent main stat. I wish I could test double attack percent right here and see which one I would do more with, but I don't have a good attack percent main stat. I will eventually test that out, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if double attack percent outperforms 1 havoc, 1 attack. For now, I'm just going to tell you what I already tested. 1 havoc, 1 attack is better than double havoc. I guarantee you that, especially if you're using her signature. If you're not using her signature, I don't know the answer to that and I'm too lazy to calculate it. I still would argue that it's probably going to be the same case, but test it. It doesn't take much. Just go inside somewhere, put one piece on, take it off, put the other piece on and see which one is performing more. That said, what you want to do is a 4-3-3-1-1 or a 4-4-1-1-1, whichever one's going to yield the best sub stats. The difference in performance is usually negligible. These nerds can argue with you about which one's going to perform better. Do whichever one you have the best sub stats for, man. It ain't that big of a difference. I would argue that 4-3-3-1-1 might actually outperform the 4-4-1-1 by a little bit if you have good sub stats, but that's just shooting from the hip here, okay? The sub stats you want to aim for is crit rate, attack percent, crit damage. Actually, this is a perfect representation here. Yeah, crit rate, crit damage, attack percent. You can go for either flat attack or energy recharge right here, or you can go for flat attack or energy recharge right here, whichever one. But this is a pretty good representation of what you want to try and strive for. I am a big believer of being able to get like 20% energy recharge built into there. So if you can get an energy recharge roll here and there, that would be nice, which I got 2 on 2 pieces. So you'll be able to get more comfortability in casting your ult within this, the seamlessness of the rotations. There's been a lot of debate on whether you should run Dreamless or you should run Crownless. Again, the argument I've been seeing going around is that you should run Crownless because you can cancel out of Crownless. You can cancel out of Dreamless too, bro. I don't know what the hell they're waffling about with that one. And no, Crownless doesn't automatically cast the skill. We tried that shit on stream yesterday. That didn't work. So the only real value here with Crownless is that he's going to guarantee give you this 12% havoc damage bonus. But as I just stated to you, Camellya's kit is overkill in damage bonus. So you ain't going to get much value out of this, bro. You might do 20 more damage. So you could get a nice little burst with Dreamless, but if I'm being honest with you, even Dreamless's burst has been power crept by the game's, inflation in performance of characters. Like even the Dreamless's little fucking ticks don't do much. So honestly, neither one of them are that good. We kind of just need a new Echo. Give a little scrutiny here mid guide. We kind of need more Echoes in these fucking, what do you call it, elemental classes here that are going to do cooler stuff. Regardless, use either one, whichever one you're comfortable with. It ain't that deep, guys. And then come down here to this. If you really want to be on the low budget side, just do skill and Forte Circuit and fill up Resonance Liberation. These 3 right here, fill out this tree and call it a day. If you want to mid max with Camellya, fill out this because as I already just showed you in the video, this is outperforming this in single target scenarios. So whatever you're comfortable with doing, that is up to you. There's even more stuff about this character's kit that I didn't mention in this guide. There's more stuff about this character's kit that other guide makers didn't mention. There's some little intricacies like what are you going to fill up your stacks with faster? The white-haired mode or the red-haired mode, the freaking crimson pistol stack so that you go to your ephemeral state. I don't know the answer to that. You can test that out on your own. There's some more little neat things about her kit that gives more depth to her. We don't have all the answers. As a guide, I just want to make sure you understand how to play her kit, like, 95% of it, hell. And I think I did a pretty good job there. But it's up to you to spend more time with the character and delve into those hidden little tricks of the trade. Overall, that's the beauty of combat games, right? To master these characters and share that knowledge. Thanks for watching. I hope I brought you guys some value. Peace, love, and happiness. I'll catch you on the flip side.